Watertown Whiskey presents Reality After Show's coverage of the NFL Weekly Preview Show with Survivor Legend Jonny Fairplay, Survivor 47's Gabe Ortis, and producer Bobby Goodsby.
Welcome in to the Reality After Show NFL Preview Show brought to you by Watertown Whiskey. Whiskey made with natural flavors. Please drink responsibly. So getting into this week of NFL games, looking ahead, and do a little bit of looking behind as well. I know Johnny loves to look behind. So this is shaking out to be what seems to be an NFL season of a lot of haves and a lot of have-nots. I think we have 6 teams right now that are 3-0 and 6 teams that are 0-3. I can't remember the last time that's happened. It's like
Weird.
Either your team's doing quite well or your team is doing very, very bad to start the season. So it makes for some very interesting storylines, and it makes week 4 like a must win for a lot of teams and a heat check for a lot of teams. So right now, just looking at some of the actually interesting scores across the league last week, and I kind of want to do some more preview stuff. Mostly because I lost so much money on the NFL last week. So I'm going to be opening up some freshly healed wounds here. But Bobby, your Vikings in a battle of the backups, Carson Wentz versus Jake Browning, the Bengals taking on the Vikings, absolutely decimated them. We got maybe one of the best defensive performances of all time from Isaiah Rodgers. I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about in this game. I think the score line kind of says it all, but what was it like watching that game?
I mean, obviously, it was the first time we had a 10 a.m. game all freaking season, which I prefer having the 10 a.m. games opposed to like Sunday night football, Monday night football. Might be a hot take, but honestly, I just like waking up on Sunday, being able to watch Vikings football. And the game that I got to see was something I'm just not used to over the O'Connell era, where we haven't had a blowout since I think 2022 against Green Bay week 1. Like, it has been a minute. Like, the majority of our games are either 1-score games or we lose, right? Like, it's not like we ever have a blowout. So this was a very, very good sign that my team has a pulse after last week, seeing them absolutely decimate this Bengals offense. And big shout out goes out to Isaiah Rodgers. Like, the guy he's the defensive player of the month by far. Could he be in the running eventually for defensive player of the year? Who's to say? But just one of the
said last week
one of the all-time greatest defensive performances you could possibly see. Defensive fumble for a return for a touchdown, interception, return for a touchdown, another fumble that he caused, and then also deflection in the end zone against T. Higgins. Just 99.9% PFF grade, never been done before. I don't want to get too much into it. It was a blowout. Bengals look like trash. Obviously, Browning is not the answer to replace Burrow. Just absolutely dominant performance heading into a basically 2-week stint abroad playing against the Steelers and Browns. So looking forward to see what this team can do going forward with Carson Wentz at the helm.
Johnny wearing his Eagles jersey. Oh, wow, a Jets jersey, Breece Hall. Okay, very interesting. Well, I think the most intriguing game of the week was that Eagles game. You had 2 NFC heavyweights going at it, the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Eagles, and it was about as crazy of an ending as you could get. The Rams are lining up for what seems to be a surefire game-winning kick. It's deflected and taken back for 6 points. So I'm kind of curious, like, when you watch the Eagles, is this a team that you see still being the dominant team in the league? Because through 3 weeks, they're 3-0, but I got some questions about this Eagles team. I mean, I don't know. They looked very unconvincing against the Cowboys, and your best player on defense gets ejected in the first play of the game, but that's his own fault. They go up against what seems to be a very weakened Chiefs team, and they barely escape with a victory from that, and they need a miracle play to get out of that Rams game with a win. So it seems like they're kind of hanging on by a thread in all of these wins, and usually that luck tends to run out. What do you make of the Eagles right now?
I'm on board. I don't like their fans. They're tough. They're tough.
They're my least favorite team in the league that's not in my division. I despise the Eagles with every part of my being. I think Philly is a trash city. Clip it. I don't care who's watching this. It sucks. Philly sucks.
I'm with you on all those things.
Agree.
But I feel like it's one of those teams that finds a way. It's a team's team. And those teams find a way to win games. I don't think this is, we're going to look back at the beginning of the season. It's like, oh, remember when they squeaked those out and then they fell apart? I think they're just going to be one of those teams that just finds a way through one person or two people and wins games. And I don't think there are Super Bowl champions, but I think they're in the mix.
Interesting. Yeah. And this is, a game where I think Jalen Hurts did a lot of good for himself. 3 passing TDs, 226 yards in the air. And a lot of people were saying Hurts is throwing for 100 yards a game through those first 2 weeks. And he kind of turned it on a little bit. So I very begrudgingly say that this was a good game for the Eagles, but I don't like the fact that they are squeaking out these wins against teams that I think on paper they should be dominating. I think that they should have played way better against the Cowboys. It's the first game of the season, so maybe you give that a pass. I think they should have played way better against the Chiefs. And this is a team in the Rams that they're probably going to see in January. If things shake out the way that we think they will. And I don't know, I wouldn't feel very confident as an Eagles fan going into that game again. A whole lot of time between now and January, but it's just not a lot of convincing wins. And last year we saw them dominating teams, just running teams out of the stadium. And this, it's every game, it kind of feels like they're walking out ooh, all right, made it to next week, guys. Let's go. They're not winning by 30 points like we saw last year.
As Bobby mentioned the other day, this same game happens at the Rams. The Rams blow them out.
Yeah, I think so. I agree. Yeah.
I think also we talked about it on Monday as well, that Saquon Barkley was really held back by this defensive line. Only 46 yards on 18 carries. That's not Saquon Barkley behavior.
No.
It was good to see that AJ Brown and Devontae Smith finally getting into the passing game, which was mainly the second half where they kind of finally turned it on when they were down 19 points at halftime. One thing I do want to share, Gabe, I didn't get to share this with you. I had a few shekels on this game, and I turned around I had a 4-team parlay. I had Chiefs -6, that barely covered. I had Steelers -1.5, that covered. Vikings -3, that covered. And then I had Eagles -3.5. And when the Rams are going up for that field goal, I'm like, well, they make it, I lose. They miss it, I lose. It doesn't matter. The one thing that can happen that would turn this all around is a block punt return for a touchdown. And what do you know?
Wow. Fantastic stuff for the Goodsby household right there. The kids and the wife didn't have to hear about it, so great for them.
They had dinner.
Told everyone.
Yeah, right. They actually got to eat that night.
Rent was on the line.
Yeah, and rent got paid. So another big storyline coming out of last week: the Packers, who everybody was ready to crown after 2 weeks, as myself included, as the soon-to-be Super Bowl champions. Bobby was one who was a big detractor that had nothing to do with his Vikings allegiance.
Nothing at all.
But they drop a game to the Joe Flacco Browns, 10-13. And what I think this is the Browns have one of the best defenses in the league. I think that's what this is. They are outstanding. Myles Garrett might be the best pass rusher of all time. Yes, I'm willing to say that. The guy he's unbelievable. He does things that human beings should not be able to do, especially not on a football field. He's fantastic. And I think this Browns defense is just so good, and their offense is so bad that we're going to see a lot of Browns games like this where they're losing games 10-17, or they're winning games 10-13, especially against teams that they shouldn't. But is this the wake up call for the Packers? What do you make of this coming out of it? Is it a 1 week fluke, or are they not as good as we thought they were after weeks 1 and 2?
I would say this, the Packers all of a sudden pick up Micah Parsons and everyone's crowning them Super Bowl champions. One fucking player changes everything for this team. Like all of a sudden they go from third in the division to Super Bowl champions when they pick up one player. I'm sorry, when Micah Parsons was on the Cowboy, weren't they halted as like supposed to be this dominant team? And did they ever win a playoff game? No. So I was not concerned, but I do understand that he was a big addition. I just didn't understand why all of a sudden we're crowning them just like we crown the Bears off-season champions every single year, and then the Bears.
Well, that's just the Bears.
I'm about to say, who does that?
No, people do that in the off-season. They're like, oh, they won free agency. Give them the Super Bowl. They won free agency. So
whoever said? Are you looking at
look online? I'm telling you, it's a thing.
The Bears fans are very vocal preseason, and it ends week 1.
Yeah, every year. Every single year.
Back to the Packers, though. I do think that they have a good team, but I absolutely agree with you. I think Myles Garrett was the difference maker. Did you see that video of him getting past the offensive lineman, the offensive lineman being like, run, Jordan, run?
Yeah, dude, he teleports. It's like I watched the video of that play like 10 times because my brain couldn't make sense of what it was watching. Yeah, he looked like Matrix. Yeah, he looked like Nightcrawler. It was like he stepped one way, and then in a frame of the video, he's on the other side of the lineman. It makes no sense. Like that's what I'm saying. Like the guy does things that a human being should not be able to do. So yeah, the Packers I think got a necessary early season humbling, and it opens up that division a whole lot, which I think is going to be fun. Speaking of Caleb Williams, you got to admit, looked pretty good against a bad Cowboys defense. 298 yards in the air, 4 passing TDs, plus 12 yards to go with it on the ground. So 300 plus yards of total offense for Caleb Williams. Is this Caleb coming into his own, or is it a bad defense against a good offensive head coach?
It's Caleb Williams playing a serviceable game and nothing more. And when you need more, he doesn't have it.
Okay. I don't disagree with that.
I would also say on Monday, I said that the Dolphins were the worst defense in the league. When I reviewed the tape on this game, Dallas is the worst defensive team.
They're awful.
And for them to say, oh, don't worry, we're going to lose Micah and we're going to use schemes to make up, allow blitzes to get home. Where is that, Jerry? Jerry, where is these schemes that you're, writing up to make all these defenders get home to the quarterback? Because you're making Caleb Williams, who looked like a turnstile the first 2 weeks, just look like a Pro Bowler, all-time great out there on the field. Good for the Bears. I think they needed this win. I think Caleb needed this for his morale. Seeing the locker room video, it looked like they were all very pumped up after that win. But don't get too excited. That Dallas D is awful.
Yeah,
by schemes they were referring to the PR department.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Glory hole.
Yeah. There's the schemes.
Yeah, the whatever Jerry Jones schemes are.
Yeah, are you guys buying this? Huh? Okay, good. Oh,
cool. All right, send it. Yeah, I'll say it in the press conference today. A game that I don't want to spend a lot of time on, but I do want to mention because I thought this was going to be an easy dub for me, and it was not. No, it's not what you think. The Raiders at the Commanders. I mean, I am so out on. I think that who's the head coach for the Raiders? I'm completely blanking on Pete Carroll. I think he has dementia. Like I think it's elder abuse to have him on an NFL sideline in any capacity. Certainly as a head coach. How do you go into the Marcus Mariota-led Commanders, who have had a less than convincing start to the season with their star quarterback Jaden Daniels before he went down, and you give a 41 points to him? I that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Geno didn't have a terrible game. He didn't have a great game. Genti didn't have a terrible game, but he didn't have a great game. And I was high on the Raiders coming into the season. I thought they were going to be good. I can't unsee what I saw against the Commanders. That was pitiful.
And this offensive line for the Raiders is atrocious.
It's
right?
atrocious.
It's so bad. Like Genti looks decent with not even like he's not looking great, but he's not looking bad. And that's with possibly the worst offensive line in football, right? Like imagine if this guy had the Eagles offensive line blocking for him. Like I think we would actually see the potential in this kid. So they're sadly enough, they're kind of ruining this kid's potential. And also I would say Geno Smith just isn't the answer. Let's be real. Like he's just not the answer. He's fine. He's a serviceable backup in my opinion. He's maybe a low grade starter, but they really need to go to the well when it comes to draft next year and really go after a quarterback early in the draft. Also, Gabe, if you're betting on the Raiders in any capacity, I don't know what to say to you, man.
Dude, I was high on them this year. I liked a lot of the pieces that they had. Like, yeah, the offensive line was bad, but I liked everything else around that. And I thought very foolishly, naively, that it would be enough to make up. And clearly it was not. So, yeah, egg on my face. That was stupid.
They're putting hard miles on Genty. I think the best thing that could happen to him right now is an injury,
so that he can take some plays off.
Yes, I mean, I think the kid's a stud. I mean, and he is studying it for zero help. And those are the hard miles that, like, we're going to look at the last 3 years of this guy's career and be like, oh my God, I felt like he could have had more in the tank. He's just like, dude, I burned it all.
In years 1 and 2. With this awful team.
To be clear, we're not wishing injury on any player. We're just saying, like, as you know, maybe if someone else were to come in and take some of those reps to take a little load off of him.
Yeah.
And so I think, unless you guys have anything else, the last game we're talking about from last week is going to be once again my Baltimore Ravens. So everyone shut up for 12 minutes. Yeah. Everyone shut up for 10. No, this will be a lot quicker because I think this game was a lot more straightforward than the Bills game. I think that there was a lot of like culture stuff going on with the Bills game that reared its very ugly head for the Baltimore Ravens. But for this game against the Lions, just got beat everywhere. In the trenches, on the outside, coaching on the sideline, got beat everywhere. Special teams got beat everywhere. Right now, the Baltimore Ravens are playing without who I think is their second most important player on defense behind the safety Kyle Hamilton, Nnamdi Madubuike, who is their D-line, interior D-line. He signed a huge big money contract after having a 2023 where people were calling him baby Aaron Donald, which is about as high of praise as you could possibly get for any player in the NFL.
Minus the baby thing.
But like, you know, he had that great year. He slowed down a little bit last season because I just think the tape was out on him. He was getting double teamed a lot, and he's got a neck injury that nobody really wants to talk about, which leads me to believe that it's quite a bad injury, or at least an injury that's going to keep him off the field for a while. And you combine that, so you have your best run stopper out of the game, and you're going up against the best backfield in the league. You have the 1-2 punch of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. I mean, and a really good disciplined O-line. It's like, you know, you're really fighting an uphill battle. And the Ravens made a lot of history in all the wrong ways on Monday night. It was the first time ever in franchise history that they led up 2+ drives of 95 yards at home. That's never happened before. I've never seen the Ravens do that before. They led up, you know, close to I think just over actually, 250 yards rushing on the ground at home. Never happened before. I've never seen that happen before. Lamar Jackson got sacked 7 times in this game, most in his career. And the worst and most interesting part about that, this was the highest rated game the offensive line for the Ravens have had this season. Yeah. So it wasn't really the offensive line that was leading to these sacks. There's one play where Aiden Hutchinson left everybody in the dust. But other than that, it wasn't the O-line that led to Lamar being on the ground this much. It was the fact that he was holding on to the ball for a long time. Forever. And I don't think that it was because of his indecision. I think it was a defensive masterclass by Dan Campbell and by the Detroit Lions. They had nothing downfield for Lamar to throw to. They had a QB spy. It's the dude with the long blonde hair. I can't remember his name right now. Anzalone was playing out of his mind. Lamar made any step in any direction, and he was waiting right there for him. So Lamar couldn't take off. Routes down the field weren't developing because Brian Branch and that secondary in Detroit were playing fantastic ball. All the schemes, they had an answer for everything that Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator for the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson proposed to them. They just had every right answer this game, and you just got to be better. Like, you know, the schemes have to be better. Lamar pre-snap has to be better. And something I noticed that's kind of been getting swept under the rug, when it came to taking down Lamar, if you watch that game, did you notice every single sack on Lamar, for the most part, and every single tackle when he tried to break out was around his ankles. Like, I think something got said in the week leading up to the game of don't try and do anything above the ankles for Lamar. All you need to do is get one shoestring and you'll trip him up. And they stuck to that philosophy the whole game. And Lamar just, it was watching it live. He almost broke away so many times, and they just swiped at his ankles and he went down. So there's a lot of really, really good film out there for defensive coordinators across the league when it comes to playing the Baltimore Ravens. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried moving forward playing some of these better defenses. So like they just got bullied. And it was a garbage time touchdown to Mark Andrews that kept this from being the first 2-score loss for the Ravens since 2021. It's been 4 years since the Ravens have lost by 2 scores. And if it wasn't for that garbage time touchdown, that record would have been reset. The Baltimore Ravens through 3 weeks have let up 96 points, which is the most in franchise history that they let up through 3 weeks. And we are also the highest scoring team right now in the NFL. We are the point leaders in the NFL, and we're 1-2. So things are happening on defense right now that are just completely inexcusable. Roquan Smith, $100 million middle linebacker. He's Fat Quan right now. He's not Roquan. He's Fat Quan. He's Slow Quan. He is playing like straight ass cheeks. And it's a player that kind of makes or breaks this defense right now. And it's a big reason why the Lions ran for 250 yards against us was because our middle linebacker was non-existent on the field. And it was the same deal when we were playing in Buffalo as well. So the one silver lining I see is when you look at our schedule, we really don't play a lot of good running backs. We play Kyron Williams and the Rams. But that's really about it for like a while. Our bye week is week 7. And then after that, the season really slows down. So I think that we're going to win a lot of games this season against a lot of mediocre to bad teams. I think we're going to win the division because the division's pretty bad. I think we end with around 12 to 13 wins, but it's all going to come down to, can you beat Buffalo? That's the only question that matters for this Ravens team is, can you go into Buffalo and can you win? And we have failed that task for 3 straight games now. So we'll see what happens when we get to January, but I'm not worried about anything drastic, like we're going to miss the playoffs or we're not going to win the division. But I think that the Lions and the Bills were the early season test. That was the January preview. Can we beat the top teams in the league? We failed that test. So we got a lot of things to figure out. We got a lot of guys to get back healthy. Isaiah Likely, the star tight end, has been sidelined this season. Patrick Ricard, the star fullback, has been sidelined this season. Now Nnamdi Madubuike is out for an undisclosed amount of time. We got to get healthy. We're really, really missing the guys that we're missing. So we'll see what happens with, this KC game. It's about as bad of a game as we could possibly have, and we can get into that a little bit later. But let's kind of look ahead.
Well, no, real quick. I want to say for the Ravens, I think the Ravens are doing a pretty amazing Bengals impression.
Yes.
I think they've nailed it. And are you allowed to go to any more Ravens night games? Because I feel like you're the problem.
So my buddy Brian, who you met, he got told at work, man, it seems like you lose all the games that you go to. And he's like, well, I go to every game and we don't lose every game. So, my record isn't as bad as it seems. But we got a 4 p.m. against KC. Then we have a 1 p.m. against Houston. Then we have a 1 p.m. Against the Rams. So we don't have night games for a while. I think our next night game is Thursday Night Football against Miami. In like November or something. So we got some time before I have to worry about that.
And one thing I want to say too is the fact that defense allowed David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs to just go off, right? Like that is not Ravens defense type behavior to allow, what was it, like over 200 yards? I think their rushing attack had more yards than the passing game, which that is not common for the black and blue division of football, which is it really the black and blue division anymore after we see what happens with the Bengals, the Ravens, even the Steelers don't look great. I guess the only one you could say that still, the Browns. The Browns defense, absolutely you can say that about. But it is just kind of interesting. I think also to see Derrick Henry over the last couple of weeks.
I didn't even mention that.
Just real fumble.
So here's a stat for you. The last 2 NFL seasons, 2023, 2024, Derrick Henry had over 450 carries and had 3 fumbles over 2 years, over 450 carries. This season, 43 carries, 3 fumbles. It's inexplicable. It is. And something that should be noted is that these fumbles are not like he's just bobbling the ball and like he can't fit. No, they are great plays being made by great defensive players to knock the ball out. So I like to lean on the side of like it's circumstantial, but there's a mental aspect to this as well of like, if I keep fumbling the ball, regardless of how it's happening, I'm going to worry about fumbling the ball next time. So, if there's any guy that can lock it down, I like to think it's Derrick Henry. But yeah, big problem, 2 fumbles that pretty much lost us 2 games, right? He fumbles that ball against the Lions, they win the game. He fumbles that ball against the Bills, doesn't win them the game, but sets them up to win the game. So not the start to the season that the Baltimore Ravens faithful were hoping for. But we're going to be in the mix in January. We're going to win this division. I have no doubts about that. Lamar Jackson's playing well. Like it's very frustrating to go up against 2 teams that we'll probably see in January and February if we make it there. And to lose in very dramatic fashion both times.
Now you've got the battle of the 1 and 2 teams against each other with the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. One of those teams is going to go 1 and 3, and who would have thought that at the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
Before we get into
real quick, I say the only answer: trade Henry and Jackson.
There you go. In exchange for who?
Jackson's definitely not
Geno Smith.
Just as long as it's a black guy quarterback, we will never go back to a white man at quarterback in Baltimore. That era is over.
Before we get to our week 4 preview, let's hear a word from our sponsor, Watertown Whiskey. Guys, check them out, watertownwhiskey.com. Here's our commercial for them.
Watertown Whiskey, guess what? Philadelphia Eagles back-to-back. Here we go, Super Bowl champions. You see, Daniels, it is the Commanders' year. Woo! Super Bowl bound, Watertown Whiskey. It's back-to-back. The Chiefs are going back, and they're winning this time. Watertown Whiskey. Y'all boys heading on down to 8 Mile. Lions got this. Watertown Whiskey. It's the AFC's year, but it's the Chargers. There's only one thing I got to say. Watertown Whiskey. Jets, Jets. Shut on. Hartford Whalers. We're going to the Super Bowl. They're close to Watertown, right? There's one thing we can all agree on. Watertown Whiskey. Escape the ordinary. WatertownWhiskey.com. Drink responsibly.
All right,
Watertown Whiskey made with natural flavors. Drink responsibly. This is the coconut that they have, and it is remarkably smooth. I have a roommate who's an alcoholic, and he tried it for the first time last night, and he gave it his seal of approval. So that is a expert giving it the seal of approval right there.
There we go. But once you get the alcoholics, it's smooth sailing.
Then it's easy. Then you're really going to take off. No, he's great, but he is an alcohol aficionado, is what I will say. And he really liked it, and I really like it. It's delicious. It's smooth. It doesn't bite. It's awesome. Watertown whiskey made with natural flavors.
The casuals love it at a tailgate. It's very popular.
Getting in to next week's games, this upcoming week. Obviously, we had Thursday Night Football last night. I was not able to catch most of it because we were doing our podcast. Did either of you guys see the uniforms? This was the debut of the NFL rivalry uniforms for the Desert Storm, whatever you want to call it, the Arizona Cardinals Desert Unis and the Seattle Seahawks Feather Unis. What did you make of the uniforms?
I love I'm a big fan of what Nike does for Oregon. Their Nike's second favorite team is Virginia Tech, and I'm a Hokie, so I love that. I'm a Jersey guy, not New Jersey. That's the worst state of all. But I do love a good football jersey or soccer kit. I like it. Any way to make money and have something cool, and their Virginia Tech did a cobblestone number 25 jersey, or Nike did for Virginia Tech, and it's like literally my favorite jersey ever. And I like cool, unique stuff, and it's all about it's all about merch sales. I mean, that's half the battle. We were talking on Sunday, or when did we do? Whenever our last show, If when Kelsey marries Taylor Swift, if he hyphenates his name, that will be the number one. Like that
would be crazy.
I said
that could literally be their 401k.
I said this on Monday. It would be the smartest financial decision of his entire life to get married right away. Go to Vegas, get a crash course wedding, and change your name, hyphen it to Swift Kelsey. Highest jersey sales of all time. You know the NFL wants that too.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't even think about that, but that's a genius idea. So I thought they were cool. The end zones for the Cardinals, I thought were awesome. The Arizona State flag in the end zone. Oh my God, that was fantastic.
But they're still Arizona.
But they're still Arizona, and there's nothing they can do about that. So this game, usually NFC West matchups are kind of like boring sludge matches. This game actually ended up being pretty fun. There's one thing I want to talk about here, and it's that the end of the game, it resulted. So the Cardinals drive down the field. They tie the game up. It's 20-20. And there's like 30 seconds left on the clock. And the Cardinals kick it off. Now, the new kickoff rules, right? You have this landing zone between the 20-yard line and the end zone. And we've seen this season that kickers are trying to do what I think is being labeled dirty kicks, where you kind of send this like line drive like kickoff that kind of smacks like right into the landing zone, and the ball bounces in to whoever the kick returner is. And we've seen a lot of teams doing this, and the Ravens are one of them. I've been watching a lot of these kicks live. Unfortunately, Tyler Loop, our kicker, sucks at it. But the Arizona kicker ends up missing the landing zone, and the ball starts at the 40-yard line. And now for a game-winning drive, the Seahawks only have to get 20 yards to kick a game-winning field goal. Does that kind of cheapen the game-winning drive a little bit?
Yes.
What do you
watching Canadian football?
Yeah, it kind of feels like that, right?
And no one likes Canadian football. And Canadian football is literally changing it to our rules.
Like they're going back to what we had before we changed the format.
Next year, they're moving the goalpost they're doing all. Yeah, the field's going from 100, 110 to 100. It's still going to stay wide, but everything else is turning into NFL.
Yeah. And so I appreciate the idea of these dirty kicks, because it's like this always happens. Like rules change, and then teams try to find a way to neutralize the rule change, right? Yeah. And that's what this is. Yeah, well, no, exactly. Because look, the whole reason that they made this format change, they say it's for safety, and I'm sure that's part of it. But really, it's because they want kickoffs to be more exciting plays. Like they're tired of 90% of kickoffs being you catch the ball, you run into a wall of people 20 yards away from you, and then the ball starts where it would have started if you just kicked it out of the back of the end zone, right? And now you have guys who are like, every single time they return the ball, like you're minimum getting to like the 30-yard line, and often you're getting maybe to like the 40 or even to the other side of the field. And teams are like, well, is there a way that we can not have that happen? And it's by smacking the ball right at that 20-yard line and having it skip into the returner so that they don't have time to get ahead of steam and go forward. But the rule change of having it land outside of the landing zone, you start the ball at the 40, like that is detrimental to a team trying to avoid a game-winning drive. And it happened to the Cardinals last night. And I don't know. I just don't like it. I feel like it cheapens a game-winning drive when the team starts on the 40 for something that seems like it's going to be happening a lot. Like if you don't smack it onto the in between the 20 and the end zone, they get to start on pretty much your side of the field. That seems crazy.
When I was filming House of Villains, we would have our Super Villain of the Week challenge and the Redemption challenge, and for every challenge you would have one of us would describe the game. It's like, okay, today we have to find these marbles, blah blah blah, whatever. And for every challenge, I would have to do a confessional in which I would explain the workaround that I figured out for every challenge. Huh. So it's just like, here's the game, and here's where Fairplay fucked it up for us.
Okay, so getting in, and that's exactly what teams all across the league are trying to do with the new kickoff. They should recruit you. You should be a consultant.
I'll figure it out. There's a workaround for everything. Trust me. Ask my fiance.
So getting in to this week's slate of games here. Now, there are a couple games. There's a lot of canyons of lines here, like Browns at Detroit, 10-point line. The Saints at the Bills, 15.5-point line. Crazy. But there's a lot of close ones too. So I'll tell you what, let's start pretty early in the slate with one of these 1 p.m. games. Your Vikings in Dublin, Ireland, taking
6:30
on
in the morning game. My
6
time.
for you, 9:30 for us.
I hate it.
I hate it. Whiskey at 9 a.m.
So this is the first international game of the season in Dublin, Ireland. The first game in Dublin, if I'm not mistaken. The Vikings taking on the Steelers. Me personally, until it's proven wrong, Vikings international is always a win. Bobby, what do you make of it? 2.5 point spread in favor of the Vikings.
I mean, obviously, I very much looking forward to this 2-game stretch, especially since it counts as an away game for us for both those games. Sucks for me being a Vikings fan on the West Coast, having to get up at 6:30 in the morning, back-to-back weeks. Not looking forward to that, especially since I work nights. But the Vikings, honestly, were riding this high of, absolutely dominating the Bengals last week. The Steelers, the Steelers are getting by. They're getting, close wins against teams that they probably should be, blowing out or at least defeating by more than a few points. I'm very high, obviously, as a Vikings fan. I'm going to always be high on my team, just like you are with the Ravens. But I still think this is going to be a tough battle. Like a 2.5 point spread is honestly very apt for this game because it is going to be a neutral game environment. However, there are a lot of Steelers fans in Ireland. It's a known thing that it's going to be basically a home game for them, even though it is in Ireland. I worry about a 2-game stretch overseas. I think that was kind of brutal on the NFL to give us back-to-back games in Dublin and then London the following week. But I want to see what Carson Wentz can do. Like last week, he was serviceable, but let's be honest, what really got us by was our defense, and our defense creating turnover after turnover and the peanut punches on the ball to knock it out and force the fumble. Carson Wentz looked good. He looked good, but he also didn't have the pressure because we were already playing with the lead. Now, in a tougher environment, I think against a tougher defense in the Steelers, what are the Vikings going to be able to do with Carson Wentz at the helm? And will we have a quarterback controversy, say 2-3 weeks from now? Like if Carson Wentz balls out this week and next week overseas against these two defenses that, Steelers aren't the Browns, but the Browns defense is elite. So I want to say if he can actually turn it on and give us a reason to have a quarterback controversy. I mean, we saw it last year with Sam Darnold. Barring the last 2 games of the season, if Sam Darnold doesn't look like an absolute joke of himself going into the playoffs, I honestly think there's a quarterback controversy and we might have to keep Sam Darnold. He was playing that well. And the last time we had a redheaded backup quarterback that came in and played well, great things happen. So I'm all in on the Carson Wentz experiment. I love J.J. McCarthy. Give him time to heal up. If he balls out, I honestly question, do we let the kid learn from him behind Wentz for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, and there's a difference between like being on the sideline injured and recovering and going through a recovery plan like JJ was last year, and being on the sideline healthy, like involved in game day routine. Like there's, that could help a lot.
And he had no Darisaw too. So let's be fair to the kid.
Yeah.
He had no Christian Darisaw, who's obviously showing that offensive line is a completely different offensive line with him in the rotation. So I want to give the kid the benefit of the doubt playing with a healthy offensive line. Just right now, I want to see the hot hand because this team is too good and has too many pieces in place to fail.
The most fascinating game, I think, of the 1 p.m. slate. This is one of those 3-0 versus 3-0 matchups. One of the undefeated streaks will end, or maybe both if they tie. The Eagles heading to Tampa Bay. This, I think, is a really fun game. I cannot wait for this one. I mean, Johnny, you talked a little bit about the Eagles just finding ways to win. Baker and his Bucks are finding ways to win.
They're the same. They're both the same. If this game ends in a tie, I would not be shocked. This is the game to not throw money on.
Really? Why do you say that?
Because I think someone's going to squeak out a win.
Yeah.
And I don't know who it's going to be.
And I think that 3.5 point line is like perfect. I think it's going to come down to one of these teams. Whoever gets the ball last is going to win.
Yeah.
That's how I think this game ends. Whoever gets the ball last is going to go down and kick a field goal to win.
Now, no Mike Evans in this game, which I think is going to be very harmful for this Bucs offense. Now, Egbuka is looking like he could be rookie of the year. Like the kid is absolutely destroying NFL defenses. So I'm not super concerned, but when you have Godwin out and Mike Evans out on a low-grade hamstring injury for at least a couple weeks, I do think this is going to hurt this offense against a very good Eagles defense. Now, they're not the Eagles of past years, but they're still the former, the reigning Super Bowl champions. So I still think the Eagles get it done here, but I do think that this will be a closer game than people probably expect.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be awesome because you have just like two really good teams. Baker has been must-watch TV since he's gotten to Tampa. It's been, it's so fun to be able to root for him now that he's not a rival in my division. And I also think he's grown up a lot since he first came into the league, and it's only done wonders for his game on the field. So, like Baker, I am
Tigers instead of one now.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
he's a responsible pet owner.
Yeah. He didn't need to. Yeah,
is Baker like the most rootable quarterback in the NFL? Because
by far.
It's like no one hates this kid. We all want him to do well, and to see him go from where he was with the Browns to then a backup on the Rams, and now $100 million quarterback with the Bucks, and turning around and making it not look like a first overall pick bust. Like, he's so rootable.
And we also should acknowledge that, like, his departure from the Browns was not his fault. Like, he was playing good football on a pretty bad team, and they made the worst decision in maybe American sports history by kicking him out and bringing in Deshaun Watson on $250 million guaranteed. And the Panthers too, like, where he was a backup at the Panthers. I don't think he
the Panthers are like, we can't get a quarterback. I'm like, you had a fucking quarterback.
Yeah. Your Panthers. Your Panthers.
They had Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, and now look at where those guys are.
Like... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes it's not the player, sometimes it's the team. And so, I cannot wait for this game. This might be one that I turn Red Zone off for and just watch that one. I might pull a Johnny and get invested in the story of the game.
It's all about the story, brother.
Yeah. So that's going to be fun. My hatred of the Eagles leads me to want to bet on the Buccaneers and their 3.5 points. But the real reason I like 3.5 is for the reason I said. This is going to be a one-possession game, and someone's going to have a game-winning drive. Like, it just has that written all over it. And I'd rather take the team with the points than the team that has to overcome the spread.
I see that spread dropping to 2.5 by game time.
Yeah, I agreed. I think people,
if you want some of this action, today's the day.
Yeah, no, agreed. A lot of these other 1 p.m. games are kind of gross. Not gonna lie. I mean, Panthers at Patriots. Like, who cares? Titans at Texans, who cares? Like, AFC South matchup, I guess. Commanders at Falcons with I assume Marcus Mariota at quarterback. Like, Chargers at Giants. Like, so a pretty messy slate with a couple of very interesting games. The Dublin game, the Bucks-Eagles game. Those are really the only two that I'm excited for in this 1 p.m. slate. The 4 p.m.s. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to ask you guys. Did you guys notice that the Bills-Saints game is a 15.5 point spread?
Yeah. So, I think I said that. Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about that? Because, like, the last time I saw a spread that big, I think it was Josh Allen's rookie year against the Vikings. I remember this distinctly. I think we were like 17.5 point favorites, something ridiculous like that. And I was like, oh, I feel good about this spread. We lost like 34-14. Like, it was the biggest like turnaround of point spread of all time when you're minus like 17.5 to lose by like 17 was wild to me.
I thought it was a college spread. I was like, oh, so the University of Buffalo is good.
Yeah.
I thought I was looking at my Saturday picks.
I don't ever trust a spread that big ever again.
No, it's really tough too but the Saints are dreadful. They are so bad.
They're bad.
So it's like, but then we saw the Bills, it's a divisional game versus this, which isn't, but we saw the Bills, kind of take it to the wire with the Dolphins last week. So it's like, I don't think they're as infallible as people like to assume. I think they just have one of the best quarterbacks in the league and, a bend don't break type of defense. These 4 p.m.s have 2 games that I'm very intrigued in. Obviously, one of them is Ravens at Chiefs. The other one, though, is an AFC matchup. Danny Dimes, Indiana Jones and his Colts heading to the Los Angeles Rams. Only a 3.5 point spread for the Rams right now at home. What do you make of this Colts team, dude? Is it fool's gold? Is it early season hype, or is there something here?
I think it's fool's gold, but but at the same time, I won't be shocked if they win. But I think the money is the Rams.
I don't think this Colts team is a bad team. I think that they are a good team and they can easily win that division. I mean, Jacksonville's the only other team that could possibly be in their way. But even then, I trust this Colts team more than I think the Jags. But I don't think they're as good as we think they are, right? Like, I think that they're getting it done on the ground. Daniel Jones is looking like a Pro Bowler out there, but against defenses that I'm not necessarily that concerned about. This is going to be a very tough matchup. I think the Rams defense is much better than people, think. And we saw that last week when they were able to hold Saquon Barkley to only 46 yards. I don't think Jonathan Taylor is going to be able to do much on the ground. And I think the ball is going to be in Daniel Jones's hand to make a comeback in this game. I would smash the Rams pick over and over because I think the Rams go in there, or they're at home, excuse me. Yes. I think they come in and they just absolutely demolish this Colts team, and this Colts team comes back down to earth.
Yeah, I mean, this is the definition of a heat check game. This is heat check. This is like, are you real, or you're playing a good team with a good defense and a good quarterback and weapons on the outside, like away from home. If they win this game, I think that's a massive statement for this Colts team. I think it's like,
for the record, I would love a Colts win.
Agree?
I agree. Fun for the entire NFL.
Yeah,
if they win.
And I wanted to keep Daniel Jones as our freaking backup quarterback, and no, look where he's at.
I know, right? Yeah, the QB shuffle of the past couple of years has been like just crazy to watch. But I agree. I would like to see a Colts win for the story of it all. And this is like when a guy in a game hits like 4 straight 3-pointers in a basketball game, and then the next play, no matter what, he is taking a 3-point shot. And if he makes it, it's like he has a green light for the rest of the game. And if he misses, it's like, all right, he just locked in for 4 shots, but we're going to go back to whatever we had the game.
Yeah, we're layups, guys. Layups.
Yeah, exactly. We're going back to the paint. We're going back to the paint. Yeah. So this is the heat check right now for the Colts, and I'm very excited to see it play out. The other 4 p.m. game, Jacksonville at San Francisco. I don't know if Purdy's back. Is it still going to be Mac Jones? Do we know?
I think it's still Matt Jones.
Okay, so that's a game that I couldn't care less about, to be honest with you. The other 4 p.m. is the Bears at the Raiders. This will be an interesting Caleb Williams game. You're going away from home against a team that like I said, I'm totally out on right now. So I think it's a bit of an indictment if Caleb Williams doesn't at least look good in this game. And I would be a little concerned if they don't win. This Rams team, or this Raiders team looks all out of sorts right now. But getting into this Ravens Chiefs game, which is going to be the game to watch in the 4 p.m.s. I mean, look, this is the opposite of a heat check game for the Ravens. This is a cold check. This is like, okay, can you come together and beat a team that you have historically played very bad against? Lamar is 1-5 against the Chiefs, but I don't think they're a good matchup for us. Or rather, I think we're a bad matchup for them. Yeah. Because they don't have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery in the backfield. They don't have James Cook in the backfield. They have Kareem Hunt.
They don't have anyone in the backfield.
Yes, exactly. They have Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, which
they have Jonny Fairplay and Bobby Goodsby in the backfield.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
I'm giving you 1.5 yards per carry. but with 4 downs, that's not 10 yards. Yeah.
So it's like when it comes to like the X's and O's of this, I don't think a Chiefs win or a victory over the Chiefs proves a whole lot for this Baltimore team. No. But this team desperately needs something to hang their hat on. And going into Arrowhead, a place where you have historically played very bad, and getting a win is just the morale of it all is so necessary right now for this team. And that's just if they win. If they can go in there and they can kill them, like I think they have the team to do, then that is, season's back on. Just strictly for the mental fortitude of it all. And the other side of that coin of going into KC.
Shot.
Yeah,
it's a kill shot for KC.
If it will look, both of these teams are 1-2. And I think Bobby said it earlier. One of them is walking out 1-3, unless we tie. But like one of them is walking out 1-3. And for either of those teams to be 1-3, it's a kill shot. It's like if Baltimore goes in there and they take a loss after what happened against Detroit, after what happened against Buffalo, oh my God, this team is going to be in a roadside ditch mentally. And if you're the Chiefs, then you're asking a lot of serious questions about yourself too, because Baltimore is always the get right game for Kansas City. It's always like look, if we need to win a game against a good team that we can hang our hat on, it's Baltimore. So if the Ravens can get that monkey off their back, it's a huge deal. If KC can go back to their old watering hole of Baltimore and get a big win on national television, that's a big deal. So both of these teams equally need this win, and equally more importantly, need to avoid this loss. So I think that we're a great matchup for I keep saying this backwards, but I think that our team is a good matchup to beat Kansas City. They don't have a backfield that's threatening. Our secondary has actually been playing pretty well, all things considered, and that's where the weight of our defense is. And I just think that we've been scoring so many points. I don't think that's going to stop an Arrowhead. I don't think I've looked at their defense and said,
and they're not scoring points.
And they're not scoring points. So it's like, this is a game that on paper, Baltimore should win, but the game is played on grass, not on paper.
I would argue too that there's more pressure on the Chiefs to win this game than the Ravens, because the fact that the Chargers are 3-0 in the division, right? So if you drop to 1-3 and the Chargers are having to play the Giants, like, are the Chargers really going to lose to the Giants? There's a good chance they go 4-0, right? So then you're 1-3 and you've got losses in the division. Like, I think that all the pressure is on the Chiefs. Now, yes, there's pressure on the Ravens, obviously, not to go 1-3. But you guys are in a division that's a lot more fluid, where the Chargers are running away with that division. And if they go to 1-3 and then have to go and come back and then start playing some of their divisional games, especially against the Chargers, I really worry for the Chiefs team. Now, I said it last time in the last episode, Mahomes doesn't look right. Like, he does not look like Mahomes. Like, he was throwing ducks out there against a, very mid Giants pass secondary. And
he's leading the league in rushing.
Leading the league in what?
In rushing. Mahomes is, I believe.
For QBs?
For QBs?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's beating most running backs, but yes, definitely for QBs.
Wow, interesting. That's a really interesting stat, actually. But like his deep ball is just, it's gone. Like, I'm not saying it won't come back, but we saw this last year too. Like, he's not hitting guys deep. And I think it's probably a mixture of not having his deep threats. Like, Hollywood Brown is okay. It's Hollywood Brown. Yeah. Xavier Worthy is returning for this game. So I think that's going to be a very big deal for Mahomes to have a guy downfield that he can just just toss it up to. Fuck it. Worthy's down there somewhere. So I think that's going to help him a lot. But no, I agree, Bobby. Like, this is not MVP dominant AFC champion Mahomes. This is a guy that looks like he needs some help. This is good Russell Wilson Mahomes. Yeah,
and that's not a compliment.
No, it is not. No, that is not a compliment.
That's not a compliment at all.
So yeah, this game is going to be very telling for either of these teams, and I'm very excited to see how it shakes out. And then the last game of the weekend, and by the way, the Ravens are favored in Arrowhead. 2.5 point spread in favor of the Baltimore Ravens in Arrowhead.
I'm taking the money line. I'm not touching any of that. I am scared. I think the Ravens win, but I'm just going money line.
Yeah, probably for the best. Yeah. And the last game of the weekend, the homecoming game for Micah Parsons, heading back to Jerry World. Green Bay Packers in Dallas, 7-point spread in favor of the Green Bay Packers. Bobby, what do you make?
I mean, I would love to say, I would love to see the Cowboys just turn it on, just play so hard in this game, especially since it's Micah Parsons' homecoming back to the Cowboys. I just don't see it. As much as I, as a Vikings fan, would love to see the Cowboys put the Packers back in their place, this is a get-right game for the Packers after a tough emotional loss against the Browns last week. And that secondary, we've talked about it, that defense as a whole for the Cowboys is so bad. It's so bad. I still would think that the game is probably going to be closer than people think, because I do think Dak Prescott is going to be able to turn it on offensively against this Packers defense. But I'm saying it right now, Micah Parsons has 2 sacks in this game, at least 2 sacks.
All right. I'm excited to see the reception from the Cowboys fans for Micah. If he gets a sack, it's got to be some loud boos, right?
Oh, yeah. Or loud cheers and going, you should have paid the guy the money.
Also, so that's who are the boos going to be directed towards?
The boos are
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a very, very good point. So that does it for our slate this weekend. Thank you so much for everybody joining us.
What about Monday night?
Wait.
Oh, Monday Night Football, of course. Yeah, of course. I almost forgot. It is a real barn burner game. Thank you for reminding me, Johnny. The Dolphins hosting the New York Football Jets. What do you make of this one?
I like the Jets.
This is awful Monday Night Football slop. This is what this is.
This is as bad as giving the Bears. They got the first Monday night game of the season. I'm going to be there for the Bills versus Bears Monday Night Football, October 13th. They got the Sunday night game on week 2. It's just like, what did you guys like? I mean, maybe they were just watching the preseason games and thinking they were real this year or something. But there's no reason for the Bears to have these high-profile games and the Dolphins to have these high-profile games.
The Dolphins is inexcusable. That's actually inexcusable. There was nothing to be excited. I mean, at least the Bears have a new exciting head coach and, it was a very highly touted young quarterback. The Dolphins, their quarterback doesn't have a brain.
No.
Like, what are we talking? He doesn't have a brain.
Their coach is pretty close. I feel like this is the a Monday night going away party.
2.5 point spread in favor of the Dolphins.
This is also one of those weird weeks where we have 2 Monday night games, right? We also have the Bengals Broncos at 5:15 on Monday night. Now it's weird because a couple weeks ago we had back-to-back Monday nighters. Yeah, it's a doubleheader. We have a few of those this year. Excuse me. They're added that to the schedule, but I hate that they do 4:15 and 5:15 start times for West Coast. I'm talking about where it's like you have to pick and choose which game you're going to want to watch. Now, don't get me wrong, neither of these games I really care to watch, but I much prefer where they had a couple weeks ago where it was a 4 p.m. game and then a 7 p.m. game. Now, I know that it's not beneficial for you East Coasters, but screw you East Coast. You guys get all the benefits for a lot of things, like 6:30 in the morning for the London and Dublin game. So I will say this. I much prefer that they do it 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock start times. I'm hoping they switch to that schedule. I know it's late for East Coasters, but I think that should be a thing. Now, before we get out of here, one thing I also want to include that we did it in the last time we were all here together. What do you guys predict is the most expensive tickets for the week and the least expensive tickets for the week for the games?
All right, my most expensive ticket, I think, is going to be Packers at Jerry World. And I know that last week or 2 weeks ago, they were the least expensive ticket. But I think that's going to be the priciest ticket of the weekend.
Interesting. Okay.
I think Kansas City is going to be a spendy ticket.
That's a good shout.
And I say if they lose, the following week will be the cheapest ticket.
So actually, this one should have been more of a no-brainer for you guys. I mean, those teams were both those games were not. They're both actually kind of in the middle, which Dallas and Green Bay is actually kind of low. It's only $61.
Oh, for Sunday Night Football?
For Sunday Night Football at Jerry World with Micah Parsons' return. It's kind of wild. But the most expensive game by far, not even close, Vikings Pittsburgh, $799 a ticket.
Oh,
I
my
wanted to go to this game, and I begged my wife to try to make it work so we could go to the game. She's like, absolutely not. Like, we're not going to put ourselves in financial despair to go to a Vikings.
But if you had hit that DraftKings, you would.
Then it wouldn't have mattered. Yeah,
multiple times this year. Yeah, but I would have loved to go there because my heritage is from Ireland too, and we have friends in Ireland, so I really wanted to make that work. Didn't happen. Now, lowest price game of the week. What is your guys' prediction?
I am going. It's got to be a game with a backup quarterback. I think. I am going to say should be easy.
Should be Raiders,
Chargers at Giants.
Okay.
Well, I don't know because it's the Jackson Dart debut, so maybe not.
Yeah, Once I say it, you guys are gonna be like, "Oh, of course."
Is Atlanta at home?
Yeah, that's. I kind of kept coming back to that. I think I'm gonna say that. Is it Atlanta with Marcus Mariota as the quarterback?
No, that one is actually $82. That's more expensive than the Dallas game.
Yeah,
the least expensive tickets of the week: Miami and New York Jets, $24.
I guess Monday night, people don't want to go on them, but still, it's prime time. You don't like to go to prime time game.
Miami versus the Jets. Like, who's wants to see that?
No, that's
if you're a Jets fan, it's one of your only the only times to see your team win.
Yeah, it's also true. Yeah.
So, and just real quick, outside of like obviously the Vikings game being $799, if you want to talk realistic prices, most expensive tickets, New Orleans at Buffalo, $219
for a 1 p.m. game in Buffalo.
Yeah,
something's got to be happening, right? They must be
free helmet.
Yeah, it's maybe the
$200
Buffalo fans are just crowding that, wanting to see
free
Josh
helmet
Allen.
day, free jersey, helmet, and beer day at Buffalo Stadium.
Well, you know what doesn't cost $219? Watertown whiskey made with natural flavors, delicious coconut flavor. Please drink responsibly. That's going to do it for us here on the NFL preview show on the Reality After Show. Any locks?
What's your lock?
Lock of the week. Dude, the way that I've been betting, you don't want to listen to any locks that I have. I'll say
my lock of the week, I think, is Los Angeles Rams at home against Indianapolis. I think this is 100% a Rams win.
I don't know about that.
We'll see.
Okay, I like the parlay of the money line there and the Ravens.
All right. And if I have to give one, I will say the Minnesota Vikings in Dublin, Ireland.
Really?
I just until they're having the advantage of going overseas a lot, I think is a big deal. Like just the routine of it, you're used to it. The team's used to it. The coaching staff is used to it. And I think you take a Steelers team that like looks a little wobbly right now. I really like the Vikings there. And I know that it's Carson Wentz, but I feel like when you do those overseas games, like you don't like wacky things just kind of happen. And I want to lean on the team that does it a lot. Like I like them a lot over there. And I don't think that they're going up against a behemoth team. And they're coming off a huge win too. If you're going overseas a lot, it is such a big advantage to have. So I'm big on the Vikings this week.
Great. Gabe picked us. We're going to lose now.
Kiss it down.
All right, guys. So that being said, guys, check out Gabe's Big Move Tuesdays. What time, Gabe, is your show?
7:15.
7:15 on Tuesdays. Gabe's Big Move. Go check it out. Watertown Whiskey, our sponsor. Shout out to them. I will be streaming live this afternoon, 12 noon Pacific to 2 p.m. Pacific, talking about last night's Big Brother episode, along with some more Survivor. So, guys, check that out. Twitch.tv/Bobby Goodsby, or right here, Reality After Show at After Show on YouTube. With that being said, guys, we will see you next week with our Week 5 preview and breakdown of Week 4. We'll see you guys then.